Welcome back to the second segment of the GSMC Hockey Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm back with, as I said, the second segment here, talking about the lines for the Edmonton Oilers, whether or not they can go back-to-back in a Stanley Cup Final and, compete a little bit better next time. I talked about how the lack of forward depth was very concerning for this Edmonton Oilers team and how much that, affected them when it came to winning a Stanley Cup. Well, they have forward depth now. They went out and got some fantastic acquisitions at a very low cap hit and then re-signed guys that I believe are going to help this team out a lot. First and foremost, they went out and got Jeff Skinner at a $1 million contract. That's an absolute steal for a guy that is able to play at a point per game pace. If he is on a line with Connor McDavid as it is, as they have it on the website I'm looking at right now, I do still expect that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is on that line, but if you have Jeff Skinner, Connor McDavid, and Zach Hyman on a line, I'd be very excited to see what that line produces. Connor McDavid might have 200 assists. Not actually, but truly, that line could be fantastic. The second line listed is Dylan Holloway, Leon Draisaitl, and Victor Arvidsson, which could be a fantastic line as well. Dylan Holloway taking a step forward, I expect next season, so we'll see how that plays out. And then the third line being Ryan McLeod, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Evander Kane. That is a fantastic third line. That third line was pretty much their second line for most of the season. So very, very impressive. And then their fourth line, Matthias Janmark, Adam Henrique, and Connor Brown. The acquisitions that they had in free agency was one of the best. That forward core can be very fantastic. But how does it compare to other forward cores in the NHL? The first one that I'm going to compare it to is the Rangers. So when we're talking about the top end talent, of course you gotta give it to the Edmonton Oilers with Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. That top end talent doesn't touch anybody. But when we're looking at the depth and whether or not, guys like Kaapo Kakko will be on this team next season, Jimmy Vesey, whether or not they're going to be on the team next season for the New York Rangers is still up in the air, but this forward group is still crazy. Of course, I'm saying all this in reaction to some things I saw on social media talking about how this forward core could be the best in salary cap history, not just this next season. So I want to compare it to the cores that I think might be better than it next season. The Rangers core I think is the best forward group that the NHL had last year, and I think that it will only get better. Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad, and Riley Smith is going to be their top line. That's a fantastic top line. Their second line is going to be Artemi Panarin, Vincent Trocheck, Alexei Lafreniere. Fantastic second line. Third line, Will Kyle, Filipino, Kaapo Kakko. Gross third line. Fourth line, Jimmy Vesey, Sam Carrick, and Johnny Brodzinski as listed on dailyfaceoff.com. That is a fantastic forward group, and I think it just absolutely blows the Edmonton Oilers forward group out of the water. Other forward groups that I want to talk about, the Panthers forward group: Carter Verhaeghe, Alexander Barkov, Sam Reinhart, Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Bennett, Evan Rodriguez, Eetu Luostarinen, Anton Lundell, Mackie Samoskevich. Which I think is a fantastic signing. I kind of glossed over that one. Samoskevich is going to be a fantastic third line player for the Florida Panthers. He is somebody that can put up 50 to 60 points in a season, and I think that is a fantastic addition to a line like with Anton Lundell and Eetu Luostarinen. I think this forward group doesn't have the top end talent of the Edmonton Oilers, and maybe the Edmonton Oilers are a little bit better of a forward group than the Florida Panthers are now for next season. But I think especially with the additions of Samoskevich and Jesper Bokvist, I think is going to be fantastic for the Florida Panthers. So that's one forward group that I like a lot. Another forward group that I like a lot, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Of course, they do lose Steven Stamkos. I can't believe I just blanked on his name. But they did add Jake Gensel, who's going to fit right in on their first line left wing. They add Cam Atkinson, that's going to be a top or a middle six player for them. And their forward group is still fantastic with Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point on that top line. their forward group is very top heavy, and I think the depth of the Edmonton Oilers forward group is better, and maybe the top end talent of the Tampa, or top end talent of the Edmonton Oilers is way better than this one, but I still think it's a great forward group. Another one I want to talk about, the Colorado Avalanche forward group. For the Avalanche, it's fantastic. This is even without a guy like Valeri Nichushkin, who was the goal-scoring leader in the playoffs up until like Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final. Nathan MacKinnon, Jonathan Drouin, and Mikko Rantanen. Nasty. And they're going to get Gabriel Landeskog back at some point next season. So you're going to toss Jonathan Drouin on this second line, and this forward group is just going to get even better. Nathan MacKinnon is one of the best players in the NHL, and then second line is Arturi Lehkonen, Casey Middlestat, and Nikolai Kovalenko. Right now, I expect that to improve. I think the Colorado Avalanche have a fantastic forward group. I do think the Oilers are better. However, another forward group that I want to talk about, let's go to the Vancouver Canucks and let's see their lines. Right now, it's listed at Niels Höglander, JT Miller, Brock Besser. Then you have Danton Heinen, Elias Pettersson, and Jake DeBrusk on that second line. Their third line was nasty last season, and it's the same third line. Dakota Joshua, Teddy Bluger, and Connor Garland. And then Vasily Podkolzin, Pius Sutter, and Kiefer Sherwood is their final line. I think this has the potential to be the best forward group in the NHL. Just let's go line by line. I think the Oilers' first line edge out the Vancouver's first line. I think the Oilers' second line barely edges out the Vancouver second line, although I do like how the Vancouver second line plays overall over the Oilers' second line, but you got to give the edge to Leon Draisaitl over Elias Pettersson. The Vancouver Canucks third line is the best third line in hockey, and then their fourth line I think is better than the Edmonton Oilers fourth line. So it might just be a wash, but the top end talent's better than the Oilers, so maybe you give them the credit the credit there. Other forward groups that can be fantastic. Let's take it to the Toronto Maple Leafs forward group here. Let's see their lines. Just projected lines is what I'm pulling up here. You have guys like, of course, you have the top four: John Tavares, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and then you got good supporting cast with Matthew Knies, Pontus Holmberg, Max Domi, Cal Yarnrook. Their fourth line is pretty abysmal, but it can definitely get better. And then their power play is fantastic. Their forward group isn't as good as the Oilers, but that top six can definitely contend with the Oilers, and maybe it is even a little bit better than the Oilers. So, do the Oilers have the best forward core in the NHL? No, I think it still goes to the Rangers for next year. But is it a fantastic forward core, and did they address their needs? Absolutely, and I think that that's the more important factor here. They needed to go out and improve their depth, as I mentioned after the Stanley Cup Finals. I said that that's got to be their number one move here in free agency. You cannot have guys like you can't have guys that were scoring the most important goals in the Stanley Cup Final to be the ones scoring the most important goals, like a Philip Bromberg, or a Matthias Janmark, who's still on the team and is a fantastic player, but he can't be the one that you're relying on. And now your top nine is fantastic and looks amazing, and I'd be very excited if I were the Edmonton Oilers for next season. I think this next season has the potential to be one of the best in Edmonton Oilers history, especially because we just talked about their forward group. Their entire defensive group is the same as last season, and it was a good defense last year. And then they also are running it back with the same goaltenders in Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard. We'll see if Stuart Skinner can take that leap forward that we need, or that the Oilers need him to take. I can't wait to see how this one plays out for the Oilers. I think that this could be a fantastic team, and I think that right now in the West, they are one of the favorites for the Cup. I think they are contending with the Vancouver Canucks heavily. I think they're contending with the Dallas Stars heavily, and I think that they're contending with the Colorado Avalanche and Nashville Predators heavily. So I think it's a 5-horse race over there in the West. I expect one of those five to come out and win the I think it's the Clarence S. Campbell for the Western Conference, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see how that plays out, but that'll wrap it up for our second segment, talking about whether or not the Oilers have the best forward core in the NHL. When I come back, this isn't free agent frenzy anymore. It's re-signing frenzy, as a lot of guys have re-signed or gotten contract extensions from their team, and we're going to be talking about that in the third segment of the night.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it?